There apparently is a growing clamour within the Manchester United dressing room for Mauricio Pochettino to be appointed the club's full-time manager at the end of the season. We know Ranić's in there for now until the end of the season. And apparently United have now stepped up their search for the successor to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, following the departure of Ed Woodward, etc. But several prominent players, we're told, believe that Pochettino would be the ideal fit for the club. So it begs the question, should players ever be consulted on managerial appointments? I think I know what's coming here.
Formulaically, my default setting would be absolutely no. I mean, you can't have people that are supposed to be working for somebody dictating or determining, not dictating, contributing to the input of how a manager's employed.
There's a but coming, is there?
No, there's no but. It's just me not being overly rant about it, because there are different football clubs that work in different ways. And there is also a consideration to look at the personnel that you've got against the personality of the manager you bring in. Does that mean you get a players' delegation or committee or a bunch of players to be involved in it? Because let's be honest about it, the reasons why you're employing a new manager is because the players that are playing for the current manager aren't really doing their jobs to the standard. So I don't know why you'd want them in the room discussing why they should be told or telling someone the help that they need to do their jobs that they're paid for in the first place.
Because they're part of the problem.
Well, because they are part of the problem. So I'm it's the lunatics in the asylum analogy that I often use. It is, and it is the circumstances where players influence and people want players to have more say, predominantly the players.
Yeah.
When really and truly you wouldn't have the shareholders of BP interview, or all of them interviewing every aspect of the new chief executive. Some of them might, but not all of them. But by definition, you look at it and say the players need to be kept to one side of the equation, the management needs to be kept to another to some extent, and it can't really be that the players select. And first of all, none of them have played for him, so why they really know much about him?
Should they be heard at all? Should the voices be heard at all? I mean, they'll end up most of them will end up playing with him or for him if he gets the job.
I can't. I've yet to be given a compelling reason for the other side of the argument. My argument would be formulaic. No, absolutely not. People employ a manager with the prerequisite task of getting him to do a job that he does with the players and sometimes in spite of the players.
Yeah. So when you were at Palace, you went through 10 of them, managers.
Yes, well, 8, I think, yeah.
8. So at any time in that process, did a player have the absolute
temerity,
indignant cheek to come forward and say, Mr. Owner, I think you should employ X or Y?
No, I had players that came to me to speak about things that were going on the training ground that they didn't think. Dougie Freedman did it to me. I sling him out my office every weekend, every end of the season, going, Dougie, I didn't ask you to come in here and I don't want to hear it, thank you. If I want to see what's going on, I'll see it on a Saturday afternoon. But they never came to me.
What, was he a little kind of snitch at times?
No, Dougie's a lovely guy. He just had certain views. And I said to him, I hope one day when you're a manager, someone does this to you, because you won't appreciate it. But I had players that expressed views about managers that they played for, which was not well heard from me, because I really wasn't interested, because the reasons why we had a problem is because of your failure to respond to the manager alongside the manager's failure to get from you what he should have gotten from you in the first place. So I'm not going to sit there and listening to two criminals, in my view. I know you send a thief in to catch a thief sometimes, but I really don't want to hear from the culprits that aren't delivering because they've made a choice that they don't want to play for a certain manager, which is often the case. I did listen. I did pay attention once to a group of players that were talking about the idea that they wanted Steve Kemba, who was often the bridesmaid and never the bride, that had taken over in a temporary guise on a number of occasions and bailed me out on a particular season when we were going to get relegated in my first season, despite me spending all this money on ambition to get in the Premier League. We were going the other way, and he'd done it previously for Ron Nodes, the previous owner of Crystal Palace, and never got on the big seat. And the players sort of spoke to me about liking him. He was a great assistant manager. And I factored it into my thinking. Still had reservations, gave Kemba the job on the basis of that. If you take this job, Kemba, you do realise that the job for life you've got will mean if you get it wrong, you'll be fired and you'll have no job for life and you'll not be part of the framework anymore.
So on that occasion, they did try and form part of the recruitment process.
No, they had a view, and it's a long time ago now, so I'm trying to express how it was viewed, how it was advanced to me, but they had a view that they liked, and I could see that they liked playing for him. I saw the last 2 games of the season that we played in, where it had been so different from the previous manager. I thought maybe, I didn't give it to him, I gave it to Trevor Francis, or to Steve Bruce. Then Steve Bruce left and did what he did, and I brought Trevor Francis in. And then I saw Kemba being a consistent part of it. I listened to certain aspects of how the players, when I came across them in social events, how they liked playing for Kemba. And it was the first and last time that I ever took any notice of a player.
So you socialised with the players?
No.
This is all coming out this morning.
Every year I paid for the bunch of ingrates to have a wonderful party at Christmas at the Grosvenor House Hotel. Every year there was a Player of the Year awards dinner, and that's about the only time I associated with the players. So at that time, the players would have something to say. Hello, Mr. Chairman, can we have some more money? And by the way, this is what we don't like. And often it would come into very brief conversations. So with
very brief.
They were very brief. You know, I didn't spend a lot of time wanting to hear what the players had to say. There were certain players I liked. I liked Dean Austin. I liked Dougie Freedman. You know, I like Sean Derry, people that we know here. You know, Andrew Johnson was a particular favourite of mine. But, you know, they're players. Their job is to get on with playing, and my job was to get on paying.
Right.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
So, no, I think it's laughable. United
players
are in no position to be suggesting, and if Richard Arnold's having any of that nonsense, then he's going to go the same way as Edward would.
Yeah.
And I think he will anyway.
To be honest, I mean, Pochettino doesn't need the Manchester United players maybe pushing his case to anyone at the football club.
Maybe.
I mean, Sunday night's evidence of that. They go to see Jose Font at Lille and they batter them 5-1, and they were 5-1 up with 20 minutes to go.
It's not the same Lille, though, is it? It's not the same Lille that won the league last year, because they've been forced into a financial position where they've had to sell some of their players. Yeah. So it's not the same Lille that took the league from PSG in Pochettino's first season. Pochettino, to me, is not the emperor's new clothes, but he's not far from it, in my view. I think he's a very good manager. I think he did a very good job at Tottenham, and Tottenham fans will probably be aghast at what I'm saying. But to be honest with you, I'm not sure he is the answer for Manchester United. I'm not sure Ralph Rangnick is the answer for Man United. I'm not sure who the answer is. But it shouldn't be just an envoy of players whose opinion is not sought and not needed. And if it is sought by people at Man United, then they need to bang their heads. Yeah. If they think that getting advice from players is a good thing, then they should perhaps sleep on it. And if they wake up in the morning and they still think it's a good thing, then they should go back to bed. It's not players that should be determining whether managers are employed. Okay. Irrespective of how much bloody power these players think they've got.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.